So I continue with my fox here. I really love to paint foxes and I made a small painting. I prepared the green colors. I recommend to have different shades, and I use here some turquoise blue and the lemon yellow, as well as having some darker colors by adding either more turquoise blue or even Prussian blue. I did not wet the edges around the trees because I wanted that the branches are more easier to see, but I added a little bit of color into the middle so it's the paint spreads easier, and I had more time to add more of the paint there and different shades. I will add later on more details, but at this moment I just play around to spread the green colors and leave the edges relatively sharp. I take some of the paint downwards, so I tilt the painting and add some water. So at this point I don't want to be too strong in colors because later on I want to add more contrast, so I keep it light and with a lot of water. I'm very careful to spread the color around the fox, and again here you can add masking fluid. While the trees tops are still wet, I add some salt, so here's a little bit of an abstract element, and I add some Prussian blue and some more yellow to have much more darker green. And you can see that the top is still quite wet, so I had a lot of water and just tapping here and there some darker colors as well as around the fox. I also have already prepared the orange color for the fox, so it's really just deep yellow and cadmium red. However, underneath the fox I add some of the yellow ochre. And I spread it carefully with the water. Now I focus on the fox. I add a light wash of the orange and very careful. I use a little bit of a hard brush with a nice sharp tip. And then onto the tail. As well as adding some darker shadows. When you draw the fox, it's quite important to use a simple form such as circle, because and then you can orientate on the shape and it actually fits well when adding darker colors, so you don't need to think too much. And as well as into the tree some of the branches. But now I actually waited till everything has dried, so you can see already the salt is looking nicely there. And adding more contrast by adding, for example, here a very strong dark Prussian green trunk, and then also around into the forest, and the trunks look much more lighter. However, underneath or around the fox I wanted to have much more darker values. And then here continuing to work onto the forest behind, so on the trees behind. As well as emphasizing some of the leaves area so that the trees look a little bit rounder and then there's some distinction. And just adding a few more details, however not too much. A little bit underneath the fox so it's much more pronounced. It's not getting lost. Adding eye, nose and a few more details. Just really playing around with the contrast. And make sure that the shape of the head comes out nicely. Some branches to the side. But that was it, so thank you for watching and remember to subscribe. Bye!